All right, let me ask you something kind of weird. Have you ever thought that the very expertise you've worked so hard for, the knowledge that makes you feel so accomplished, might actually be the one thing holding you back? It's a strange idea, I know, but it's at the heart of a really powerful philosophy. This quote right here, it holds a huge secret about learning, growth, and honestly, success. And to really get what it means, we've got to dive into an old Zen story. It's a story about a brilliant student, a wise old master, and, believe it or not, a cup of overflowing tea. So, our story kicks off with this young, super ambitious student. He's heard all these whispers about a legendary Zen master living way up in the mountains, someone who holds the secrets to, everything. And this student, he was absolutely convinced he was ready for it.
And you can see why he was so confident. I mean, look at this resume. His mind was basically a fortress of facts and theories. He'd read it all, argued with the best, and his notebooks were literally heavy with his own brilliance. His intellectual cup, you could say, was filled to the absolute brim.
So he sets out on this quest, and this wasn't just a casual hike up a mountain. For him, it was a mission to prove himself. Every single step was about getting there and just dazzling the master, showing him that he deserved the most secret advanced wisdom there was. So when he finally gets to the master's hut, he doesn't even really wait for hello. He just launches right into this impressive speech about everything he knows, all his theories, all his profound thoughts. And the whole time, the old master just listens patiently and offers him a cup of tea. For almost an hour, can you imagine? The student just talks and talks. He's so wrapped up in showing off how smart he is that he barely notices the master's complete silence. The master just quietly moves around, preparing the tea, letting the student's waterfall of words just fill the room. And then, the lesson begins. The master starts to pour tea into the student's cup. He fills it all the way to the top. The tea is right at the edge, but the student's still going on and on about some complex idea, and he doesn't even see it. And the master, well, he just keeps pouring. And then bam, the student stops mid-sentence. He finally sees the tea spilling over, running all over the table, onto the floor. He shouts, "Master, stop! The cup is overflowing. It's full. It can't hold any more." He's just stating the obvious, totally confused. The master just smiles, puts down the teapot, and says, "This cup is like your mind. It's so full of your own opinions and what you think you know that there's no room for anything new. Come back to me when your cup is empty." And that was the lesson. Okay, so that's a great story, but it's more relevant now than ever, right? We live in this age of nonstop information. We're constantly filling our heads with facts, with opinions, with credentials. We build our whole identity around being the expert. But what if, in doing that, we're actually just closing the door to real learning? So just think about it for a second. That last disagreement you had, or that new project you started, did you go in ready to defend everything you already knew? Or were you genuinely truly open to the idea that you might be missing something, that you might even be wrong? The cure for this full cup problem actually has a name in Zen. It's called Shoshin, which means beginner's mind. It's this idea of approaching everything with the curiosity and wonder of a little kid, even if you're a world-class expert. It's all about being open, eager, and totally free of your old assumptions. And the difference between these two mindsets is it's night and day. The expert's mind is always playing defense, protecting what it knows. It sees a problem and thinks there are only a couple of ways to solve it. But the beginner's mind, it sees infinite possibilities. It's excited by what it doesn't know. And look, this isn't just some ancient, dusty philosophy. The greatest innovators of our time got this. Steve Jobs famously said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." Einstein said his biggest strength was a childlike curiosity. They knew that real genius isn't about having all the answers. It's about never, ever stopping to ask the right questions. Okay, so this all sounds great. Be open, have a beginner's mind, but how do you actually do that in your day-to-day life when the world basically pays you to be certain? Well, let's break it down. Let's talk about how to turn this whole idea into a real, practical skill. It really starts with a few small, deliberate changes. In your next conversation, just try to listen more than you speak. Simple as that. Instead of asking questions to prove your point, ask questions because you're genuinely curious. And take one of your strongest beliefs and just ask, what if the exact opposite were true? And probably the most important one, get comfortable, really comfortable with saying, I don't know. Let's just reframe that phrase right now. We're taught to think, I don't know, is a sign of weakness, of failure. It's not. It's the opposite. It's the starting line. It's the key that unlocks the door to every single new discovery you'll ever make. It's where the adventure begins. And let's be super clear on this point. Emptying your cup does not mean becoming ignorant. It's not about forgetting all the amazing things you've learned. It's about humility. It's about holding that hard-won knowledge just lightly enough that you still have a free hand to pick up something new. So let's go back to our student one last time. He walked down that mountain a completely different person, not because the master gave him some new secret information, but because the master gave him something way more valuable. He taught him how to be a student again. He finally learned how to learn. And that brings it all back to you, doesn't it? Your mind, your cup, is sitting there right now. If you choose to empty it just a little bit, what new idea, what different perspective, what incredible possibility are you going to let in? Because in the end, an empty cup doesn't represent nothingness, it represents pure, infinite potential. A full cup is static, it can only spill. But an empty cup can be filled with anything. So empty your cup and go fill your future.